Hello there, I am Izzy Noodles and we are back with another part of how I put together my Zelda outfit. So this was just for Extra Life, a charity reward milestone. So today we are getting on to the most exciting part, which is the crown. So a lot of love went into the crown. And just to emphasize, as I have said before, this is not a tutorial. This is just how I put this together. So the video parts probably do seem long-winded. There's a lot of detail that I've kept in just to really show you how I put things together. So perhaps maybe if you wanted to try for yourself, this could be a help to you. So here I am, so grabbing some cling film or some food wrap, however you want to call it. Just wrapping this around my head to get the shape of my head because it's going to sit pretty firmly over the shape of my head. There we go, very fancy. And then the reason for the cling film is because I'm now putting masking tape over my head to actually get the size and shape of my very own personal head. Yeah, you see that bobbly bit? These bigger bits of masking tape were kind of not the best because they were thick. That's how the bobbles happened, so it kind of made it a bit loose in some places. So certainly smaller bits would have probably been the better way to go. There we go, stunning. And there we go, that is the outline of my head. So now using this, I just marked the center with a pen so I could see where exactly I wanted to mark it up, and then just drawing the pattern on one side. So there we go, I realised I probably only need to do half and not like both sides. So these are the gems I'm going to use as well. I had a good look through to decide which ones I want to use, so placing them where I want them to be to make sure everything is correctly marked up, the right shapes and sizes. So this was really hard to keep still and be able to draw around. Because I wanted the two gemstones together, not just one single one. I just felt that it worked better with the two together. So Twilight Princess Zelda is what the aim was. So this is my favorite Zelda, mostly because, well, it's the only Legend of Zelda game that I have played, and I really love the crown for having the leaves on there, just such a natural look when Zelda is an elf. So these are going on the back of the crowns. They do have their claws on still. I will remove them from the claws, the casings. So just marking roughly where that's going to go. This was so tough to do. Right, nope, starting again. So this is the pattern I eventually managed to mark out that I wanted to use. Something like that. It might change. We'll see. Yep, there we go. Changing that again. So back to the front, trying to mark up where I'm going to put these stones. So these aren't going to be sort of indented in like the others. They're just going to sit naturally on the front. So that's kind of what I'm after. Kind of loosely speaking, because, oh boy. So much time actually went into the crown. Opposed to everything else. That was the most time consuming part because it felt like that was the center of the outfit. That needed to be perfect. So once I finally have my outline, I am cutting it out. So there we go, grabbing the EVA foam just like everything else, pinning this down, and then gonna draw around it. So super duper making sure it is laying as flat as possible without accidentally curving it a little bit. I don't know why I'm trying to push these in at such an angle. The other ones, I think I did them afterwards. So I learned this is not the way. So this was the first thing I did and then realized, no, I don't like it. I don't know if I actually changed this partway through or not. But yeah, the pin placement, even looking at it, is like, why did I do that? Awesome, there we go, and turn it over to do the same again. I did put some of the pins slightly differently this time. Just straightening out those edges. And there we go, cut them out. So here's my two separate pieces. We do need to put them together. So I believe I used the glue gun to do this. So I got the gun off to one side just for ease, but there we go. So making sure they are lined up. That dried really fast, so it was a cold day. It is October, which is why I was wearing my Halloween t-shirt at the beginning. So yeah, more glue because it's just too cold and it dried too fast. So I put the plastic document pockets on the desk to stop the glue sticking to the desk. Just making sure that's level. And then rubbing down the bits of glue that may have come out of the edges and may be sticking upwards. But there we go, that's the basic part of the crown. It's getting exciting. So now just remarking where I'm going to put the gemstones. And I used the glue gun. Actually, it wasn't the glue gun, it was the 6000 glue to just put these two stones together. The glue gun kind of just separated them really easily. So that was not the way to go. And that is just going to sit on the front, so I'm not exactly marking. I think I do put just a couple of lines to mark the edges. But here we go, these are my bead selections that I'm going to be using. So there we go, you can see that one is together now. And the silver casings will come off of these. I use pliers to get them off. So that one's going on the back. And most of them went onto, I think it was just a big decision of which ones to use, but some of them went onto the shoulders. So yeah, this is kind of like, well, how am I going to do this? This is not flat, this is hard work. But I decided this was a bit too big, so that's why I'm cutting the edges. I'm cutting a bit off to re-glue it back together. I really can't tell you how much work went into this crown. And it's kind of crumbled apart by now as well. It's been months and months, unfortunately. And so I don't know what the thumbnails are going to look like when I try and take pictures of everything for the thumbnails. So I have just used the glue gun to stick that back together after cutting a little bit off. Same on the other side as well. And there is that tiny gap, which isn't necessarily a problem because it's all going to get covered. But there we go, there's my the start of what's called slurry. So I've just put some of that air dry clay in some water and it will soften down. So let's begin. This was the first thing I used the clay on, so there was even more learning curve with everything in this. So just rubbed some water onto that to try and get the clay to stick, and wrapping the clay around the edges as well in a hope that it's going to just wrap around and stick to the edges. So kind of just very slowly building up the leaf shape. This is where I'm really experimenting with different tools, working out what works best. So I did find the wooden knife worked very well for kind of dragging the clay to make sure it's going to stay to the edges. So that worked well for that. So I'm giving some pinches to give the leaf the shape that it looks like. So that it's kind of pointed outwards to give it its 3D look. And on the other side, I stopped doing the points because I thought it wasn't really doing much, but it was only afterwards I was wondering, why do they not look the same? And I realized it's because I pinched one side of the crown with the leaves. And actually that was the way to go. So it's the pinching, like so, that makes this work. So one half of my crown looks beautiful with the leaves, and the other half is a bit like, yeah, something went wrong. But I'm using a stick there just to get some shadow in between each leaf so it looks like separate leaves. So also just putting some water on here to see about smoothing it. It was some point during the crown making I realized I didn't need to be so precise so immediately. Also just kind of scoring a line along the pinched line edges, because that's what it looks like in the pictures. Looks like there's this groove that goes along there. So very carefully, not drawing a line, but just tapping the line in there so I'm not like dragging the clay. And some of this was good to do like after a little bit, once the clay had started to dry a little bit. So there's the close-up. So the first two leaves are better to have done that not immediately. Or at least that's how it felt. It felt good to like do a bit and then come back to it in a little bit. So 2 more leaves done. I'm using that blue-ended tool just to smooth things out, but again I realized I didn't need to be so neat as I was going along just here. And I am now adding little holes because, well, again, looks like there's little holes in the pictures. I'm just going along with the pictures. And again, I decided not to do the holes straight away. Wait for it to dry just a little bit. It's not completely dry, of course, because I can still make the holes, but just giving it a bit of dry time. And then after doing another leaf, I came back and emphasized the holes. Make them stand out a bit more because you couldn't really see them. Okay, and that's 2 sides of leaves done. So the first side was pinched. The second side actually was not pinched. You probably can't see the difference on the camera, but I can see the difference. Pinch the leaves if you want to try this for yourself. So anyway, here I'm just rolling out a flat bit of clay to put across the front, because just like previously, it's not entirely flat where I glued the center bits together. So it's kind of trippy. I'm doing this out of order. It just seemed nice to sort of, I don't know, it just, for some reason the editing part made sense to do it the way that I've done it. Even though I started with the crown. But anyway, just flattening out the front with a very thin layer of the air dry clay. Again, trying to smooth it, even though, yeah, that's pointless. Don't really need to. And like I said before, just trying different tools to see what works best. Just experimenting, really, because I am just an amateur. And I'm just rubbing water on to smoothen everything. Again, pointless. I'm going to be filling this section up with clay, so why am I smoothing it? So yep, grabbing some slurry, kind of putting that together, giving it a bit of a mix. Just to go over some bumps in the leaves. Of course, I don't want to fill in the holes that I've made though. So if I do fill in the holes, of course, I can just use the that little stick again, just to open up the holes. There we go, like so. I am using the stick. And I am cutting the crown again, partly because I really struggled to get it to the right sort of shape for my head, even though I did make sort of a casting of my head with the masking tape. But I also wanted this to curve a lot more. It needed to come up at the back to sit on my head instead of around my head. So just using some wire to wrap around. So at this point it looks like I didn't make it smaller, maybe a little bit. But I just wanted the wire to be able to bend it. Yeah, a lot of hassle and effort went into just the general sides of the crown, getting the bend, the curve to sit right and evenly. And because the air dry clay was kind of heavy, especially while it was sort of still damp, this was kind of even harder. So there we go, that's kind of the shape that I was going for, or at least wanted to go for. I feel like it didn't quite turn out as intended, but it was still pretty darn good if I do say so myself. Like, sitting it on my head doesn't quite work out because the front is more firm than the back, so it's just gonna like drape down, the front being heavier. But again, just like the front, rolling a thin bit out so that it can sit flat. And then just making sure I know where to put the stone. And here I'm just kind of building up a section so the stone can sit into a cavity. There we go, making sure that's going to fit, so that looks pretty darn good if I do say so myself. And then just blending that out to make it look more natural. Building up some shape detail on the edges as well. I probably should have done that first because of being able to pinch it how I wanted it, but I couldn't get my thumb into the gap where I wanted my thumb. You see, I tried to pinch it and I just misshaped the center with my chunky thumbs. So yeah, definitely lots of smoothing out here. So as I've said, this was the first thing I did, the first sort of practice go with the clay. So I learned a lot here, and so when I used it on the other items, I kind of just breezed through. I found it very difficult to build up the pattern and texture. These little side wings were definitely the hardest part to get the clay onto. So lots of smoothing out as I go along, just because, yeah, didn't realise I didn't need to. And now trying to build up the pattern on this chunky back section. So this was also very hard to do. I still didn't quite get the shape right. So yeah, I felt like just slowly, if I built up some sort of shape where I wanted thickness, I could build upon that. So that's why I'm doing this sort of cross shape. So in the center was going to be the thickest part, and then sort of just spread out as almost kind of like a cross shape. I don't know what I'm trying to explain here, but I know what I was trying to create. I just feel like I still just couldn't get it quite right. So yeah, this did take forever, and I kind of maybe eventually gave up. So that's kind of the gist of it. It didn't really work as planned, but hey, I thought maybe leave it there and build upon it afterwards. So here we can see, yeah, the crown is in two pieces. It did break a little bit, but I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna separate it to make it so much easier to put together. So I rewired it back together much later. But as you can see, I am now working on the front of the crown. This is completely dry. This has been done in sort of days spacings to make sure everything is completely drying before then adding more clay. Because it can crack if it's partially dry and then you add more clay or wet it down. So building on the front, I'm adding what's kind of like, it looks like a horn. So just adding that sort of shaping. And yep, don't know what I'm doing, don't know how to build this up, but we are winging it. Let's hear it for Team Winging It. So just like I did with the leaves, kind of trying to use this wooden knife to drag the clay around the edges, so that seemed to work out much better for the edging especially. So I do sort of have the outline there of where the gem is going to sit, and as I've said, it's going to sit like on at the crown against it instead of sitting into a little dip. So quite surprisingly, that made this a lot harder because I needed to make sure I had the shape right with the clay. So yeah, again, using the gem as reference, making sure I am getting the shaping right. So yeah, this was weird and hard to do. I also wasn't quite sure how to get this shape of the points going up against each other. I wasn't sure like what sort of like thickness slash texture to do here. So again, just sort of winging it. It was hard to tell. Some of it I made up as I went along. I don't know what it was supposed to look like, but hey, I'm sure it will look great once it's done. There was a lot of negativity, but a lot of excitement as well, not gonna lie. I wasn't that pessimistic, even though there was a lot of moments where I'm thinking it's not going how I want it to go. And this V-shape was hard. Getting it to stick down at the point instead of just putting pressure onto it was tricky. Because this is the spot where you can't just drag it down. You have to be intricate here with this shape. And it was probably here where I should have figured out that I could use the slurry afterwards, because the amount of like little prods I was doing, I thought I could have saved so much time if I had learnt that afterwards. Like let it dry and then use the slurry. So just filling in some gaps that I thought I couldn't really push too much into because I would have lost the shape. And smoothing it out as well. So yeah, I did learn to go back over this once it was dry, and it looked much better. I couldn't quite get it right while it was still wet. And then doing some slight pinching as well to try and get the shape that I wanted. It had kind of a what looked like the pointed sort of shaping as well, just like the leaves. So careful not to pinch too hard, because that will just like ruin the clay. Like just little pinches, lots of little pinches. So you can see in some spots where it looks like I've made indents. On the left side especially, it looks like I've put indents, but that's where I've pinched it and it's sort of turned into a mountain with a valley in the middle. But it's fine, we can fix it in post. Wait for it to dry. So here, yeah, I'm attempting to put this back together, and I don't know what I'm doing. It's not going well. This whole side section was just an absolute nightmare. So I have wrapped wire around it. There's wire connecting it, wire wrapped around it, and I'm trying to just use the glue to keep everything sturdy. And that actually just didn't work. It was a pain. So yeah, I thought maybe this head would help. Maybe. Kinda did. But it was just, the whole thing was chaos. A bit of a kerfuffle. And of course this head is actually a little smaller than my own head. Or than the average normal head. So just using these pins to keep it on here. And to try and keep the shape, as I've said, I wanted the back to be raised slightly so it would sit a little more on my head rather than around my head. But here we go, trying to build up these edges with the clay, making it look natural, like there's nothing going on underneath there. Wrapping the clay around the wire. Surprisingly hard work. This, I lost it at this. I think at one point I thought, right, that's enough for today. I will come back another day. I can't remember though. I just really couldn't get it to sit and look nice. Unfortunately as well, this is where one side of the wings on the main back section, I think doing this broke one of them, and I just could never really fix it. So yeah, that's it so far, and that's where I realised, you know what, we'll fix the gaps in post. I don't care anymore. So there we go, that's kind of the main thing. It does look a bit messy, we can work on that. But now just, let's do the other side, yay! Now at this point, like those sections with the wire were actually the weakest spot. So most of it's actually like crumpled at this point. It's not in a good condition now. It's wearable, but yeah. But I added more wire that I wrapped around, and here I'm just removing some excess that's not needed because I just wanted to keep a thicker bit of wire to try and reinforce these side bands. It's, as I said, it still didn't quite work out. There's a lot of cracking now. And there we go, you see a crack on that side wing. I just couldn't fix that, unfortunately. If I was to redo this, I'm not really sure how I would achieve it, because even where the side band meets the leaves, that still was a challenge, and that's partly why this fell apart. It just became weak in specific spots like that, and so the weight of it upon itself with the clay, like with the clay being crumbly, like it just broke easily. So yeah, careful how you store it as well. Yeah, I just couldn't figure out how to attach the band and the leaf just at that spot. So it is just going to be weak right there, but that's the progress. And also, weight was going on the pointed bit at the front, so I just glued a little bit of wire there. It is malleable wire, and I put some hot glue, what's it called? Yeah, glue gun glue on the edges of the wire so it didn't scratch my head. But yeah, essentially, that's the main part of it completes. So yeah, I did fill in any gaps and crevices afterwards with the slurry as mentioned. Yeah, that was hard work, and was it worth the work? Sort of. I am pleased with it, but I've already mentioned all the negativities. So yeah, the weight of it and just what it was made of made it crumbly. And yeah. But I am proud of what I created, and that's all that matters. So yeah, that was the crown. So there is one more video to come. There's quite a few different little things included in that video. Again, it's still going to be a long video, I'm afraid. But thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take it easy.